Hello, welcome to Active Bryant Fitness Systems, and this video is all about why do people take steroids. And in my view, if you can gain up to 20 pounds of muscle per year with supplements and good program design, why would you need to take steroids? And if you look at a lot of the steroid guys, they're weaker than the natural guys, but they got bigger, puffier muscle. Does that make sense? So they got lots more water inside the muscle when the muscle is, I think it's 85% water or whatever. So really important to remember, you can gain 12 pounds with supplements and you can gain 7 pounds naturally a year. That's only if you're in training on a regular basis, not doing five days, and then having 10 days off, then doing a weekend, then having another 9 days off. This won't help your body to grow. This will denature the body from getting the enhancement of muscle size and strength. Does that make sense? So I've been training personal training clients for 25 years and been working myself out for over 32 years. So I think I know a bit, and I've read about, behind me, there's about 1,000 books that I've read on nutrition, diet, exercise, all different types of training, power training, plyometrics training, martial arts training, bodybuilding training. And what I found is that with the bodybuilding training, most of the guys that do the bodybuilding training and taking steroids have got huge egos, but low self-confidence about themselves. They think that they can't do what they can do. Does that make sense? And they think by having size will intimidate people, either in the gym or at work or, in a pub or club. Does that make sense? Now, when an athlete is taking anabolic steroids, they'll be seeing their coach that may be prescribing them to them or their doctor in which to enhance their sports performance. Now, I don't agree with them doing that, but I understand why they do it if everyone in sport is doing it. Does that make sense? The same with the cocaine epidemic is that, a lot of guys and girls go out at the weekend and want to do some white powder, which I think is wrong because I've seen all this as a doorman of 14 years experience, that it changes people and makes their night out worse in some respects. And this is what anabolic steroids do, is that they make your health worse, not better. Now, if you're seeing a medical doctor that's prescribing you anabolic steroids, you'll be paying for that privately. And he's checking your blood, he's checking everything on a regular basis, you may be fine. Now, if you read the book that Dorian Yates recommended called Ageless Man, which is really interesting, the doctor in that book is saying that men's testosterone drops down as they age. If they're not training, it's even faster. And if you're drinking huge amounts of alcohol at the weekend, your testosterone is going through the floor. And this is what I saw in the early 90s to 2000s. A lot of guys I knew were taking steroids, but then they were taking ecstasy, then they were taking cocaine, then they were drinking loads of beer at the weekend and wonder why they weren't strong in the gym, or wondered why they couldn't hold on to the muscle mass from the gear that they were taking. Does that make sense? So I believe that if you're not a drinker, you're not a smoker, you're not taking drugs, and you decide that you want to take steroids to gain 15 pounds of muscle quicker than what you would gain maybe 20 pounds of muscle if you did it the natural slow way with BCAAs, creatine, a good workout program, and working out 4 days a week, at least 3 weeks of the month, and having a week off at the end of that 3 weeks to let all the receptors and the body heal itself. Now, I've seen many guys, they'll say to me, Scott, I want to get bigger, I want to get bigger. All right, how many days a week you're training? I'm in the gym twice, maybe 3 times. Well, you're not going to get bigger from doing that. You got to remember with the Mike Mentzer method of training, he was taking anabolic steroids and he died of a heart problem. So how Dorian Yates was training, he was training more intensely and taking even more stuff. Does that make sense? Than what Mike Mentzer was back in the 1970s. So this is what you got to remember, is that I'm at the stage of my life, being 53, that I'm pretty content with my physique and how I look. It's not about getting to 200 kilo deadlift for me anymore. It's not about, benching, 300 kilos anymore. Because I want to preserve my body as I age and still stay strong. Now, I went to the History of Man in California and looked at the average caveman. And the average caveman had huge amounts of muscle compared to what we have now. And the way I look at it is that if you're trying to gain size and strength without steroids, you need to make sure that you're living like a caveman as much as possible. So that's going to bed at a certain time to get the full recovery in the body, making sure that you're eating, high amounts of good meat, organic meat, with some vegetables as well to keep your bowels working properly, and making sure you're getting lots of water inside your body. Now, back in the day, or back in cavemen's days, there wasn't creatine, there wasn't BCAAs, there wasn't high performance foods that you could eat or high performance supplements that you could take. So I believe as man evolved, we got weaker and weaker. And if you drink normal tap water, that's full of estrogens and lots of other horrible stuff that tap water should never be drunken by a human, because it's full of sewage now, and the woman's pill and some cocaine they've found in different rivers. So it's really important that if you've got bigorexia or you've got an addictive personality, admit to it. And when you admit to it, you understand why you want to get bigger and bigger. If you've got an addictive personality where you're training 5 days a week or 6 days a week, and you know that's detrimental to your body, why would you be doing it? So when you realise that you've got an addictive personality, then you can get it under control. Does that make sense? So if you choose to take anabolic steroids, is that going to make your addictive personality worse or better? It's going to make it worse. Because one, you will get addicted to the buzz of the growth and the pump and the size. And then because you've got this default in your system, you won't be able to control it. Does that make sense? And the same as if you start taking testosterone artificially, your normal levels will shut down. So it thinks it doesn't need to make it anymore. So then your testicles will shrink. And then you'll be on that drug for the rest of your life. Does that make sense? So going back to the book Ageless Man that Dorian Yates recommended, I've got the book, I've read it here. And it's really insightful, saying that keeping testosterone high will stop all these diseases that you get. And now they're saying in the science on YouTube, the scientists are saying that physical exercise as you age is 100% important for keeping muscle mass, for keeping ligaments, for keeping joints, for keeping tendons, and for keeping health and living longer. So many of the old-time bodybuilders of the 1970s in Arnold's day have lived till 80 or 90, and I think that that's quite an achievement, considering they were playing with their hormonal system, not knowing what they're really doing. Does that make sense? So I've got nothing against the guy that goes to a private doctor, pays the private doctor, and does it for his own mental well-being, but he's getting tested and knowing what's going on inside his body. But what bothers me is the guys that go to the local gym and buy the gear in the toilets or buy it in the car park. And all what they're buying is fake. It's not real. It's not real, it's fake. So it's like I used to say when I used to work at one nightclub, a rave club. If I dropped a pill on the floor and I kicked it around in the nightclub, would you pick it up and eat it and put it inside your body? No, I wouldn't fucking do that. Don't be stupid. Well, that's what you're essentially doing when you're buying steroids on the black market. You don't know where it's come from. You don't know how it's been made. You don't know whether it's been fully chemically tested or tested to see whether it's 100% real. Does that make sense? And you're spending money on that. And I believe that a lot of people that are taking cocaine and ecstasy and all these other drugs will get a long-term illness or disease from it later on. Because the people that are making them drugs are not making it under, like in a medical area. So it won't be as clean as what it could be. So let's say you buy cannabis from the local dealer. That might have come off a cannabis farm where they have bulldogs running around the farm, pissing on the trees or the plants that they never get cleaned. Does that make sense? You're drinking you're smoking dogweed, or it's been up the dealer's arse. Does that make sense as well? So I believe that if you can gain 20 pounds of muscle a year with good program design, good supplementation, with a good coach, why would you need to take gear? It's just ego. I want bigger arms. I want to be able to deadlift more. But really, who really cares? Do you get more money from having bigger arms or bigger legs? Do you get more people coming up to you going, oh, you look great because you've got bigger legs than me? No, it doesn't happen. Does that make sense? So train smart and eat smart and take good supplements. And you can still get growth year on, year out. I was 11 stone back in 2019. Now I'm back up to just over 15 stone and I've got 18-inch arms and I train 4 days a week and I train heavy at home. So it can be done, it can be achieved, but you have to have the drive and the determination to make it happen. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Click on the next video. Please like, please share, please follow. And if you've got a question, post below and I'll do a video on it. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.